Good morning. It's so nice to be back. It's been a very fractured couple of weeks with end of year shows and cicadas like you wouldn't believe, and coels and chainsaws and neighbours doing work. It's been crazy. Anyway, I'm back. I've been seeing a few videos about people like, what do you do with a junk journal? I don't understand. And it occurred to me as a long-time journaler that maybe it's not about what you do with a junk journal. Maybe it's about what you do with a journal in general. If you're not a journaler, I guess it just seems foreign. So I wanted to give you a little a little adventure through my family journals, which I was lucky enough to inherit. I come from a long line of journal keepers, and the oldest one we have in the family is this. It's been covered in contact because it was falling to pieces, but it's my great something grandmother Augusta's diary from 1840. Now, she was a serious journal keeper. She wrote, we have maybe 8 of her journals, and they're very difficult to read. Wednesday, beautiful day, most like the 1st of May than the 1st of January. Oh, look, she started it on New Year's Day. Now, this is England. Had 2 housemaids sent to me, neither of which, I don't know what that says. Anyway, when you read, my dad transcribed all these diaries, and they were hilarious. She was just forever hiring and firing staff and calling on people who weren't home. They were never home. I don't think she was very popular. However, she left a fantastic legacy with all these beautifully penned, like ink-penned diaries from another time. And then I didn't realise until after Dad died and we were going through everything that he had downstairs, he also has some amazing old journals. This one, I've written it down so I don't have to struggle reading the writing. This one is from 1885, and it's my great-grandfather's diary. Look at that beautiful paper. So he was a grazier. And this is farm stuff, and very hard to read again. So we also, see, 1885, £26 and something. Somewhere in here, the only bit I could read easily was it said kangaroo skins. So, oh, yeah, I really can't read this without my glasses on. But this must have been the last diary he kept. Or maybe it's more of just an accounts book, really. Something paddock. So, it's pretty scarce. And now I'm faced with the dilemma of what do I do? Look at this beautiful antique ledger paper, but family history. So far they live out of the sun in a protected box. Now, my dad, I realise, took this over after he inherited it, I guess, from his father, and kept a record of various things in here. But it's mostly empty. Beautiful, beautiful, going back in its box. Then I discovered my mother's family were also great journal keepers. This is her mother's diary from 1953, the trip to England for my mum and dad's wedding. Again, probably would take me some time to read and not finish, so lots of beautiful old paper. So travel diary is very common. My mum inherited a typed copy of her own grandfather's travel diary before she had this trip to London. This is my mum's diary from her trip in 1951-52, which is where she actually met my dad. So, can you believe I haven't actually read it? She had the most beautiful writing. She was a lefty. Still we trudged on. Anyway, this is on my list of reading material, so it's not going back in the box. My grandfather, my father's father, was a grazier, and he kept a ledger in one of these books. And my dad, although he left the farm early, continued to keep this style of book, just a month to a page. And he had the most fantastic memory, and I'm sure it's because he could just look up, May 2017, September 17. So when anybody questioned anything about a visit or weather, because that's what he was really recording, sunny, cloudy, wet, no rain, whatever, he could just go to it so quickly, and each account book holds quite a few years. So I have all of his, and after he died, you can see his writing getting more and more wobbly as the years go on. After he died, I decided I would actually continue this tradition because I need it for my memory. So I am. And I like it. It's very useful, especially when Q and I argue about what happened when. Okay. Now, in about the early 90s, I came across this book, The Artist's Way. And this was quite life-changing in a number of ways, and I highly recommend it if you're not familiar with it. It's probably dated quite well. If you feel like you have hidden inside you things that you want to express, this is a great way to tap into that and get some confidence in your own creativity and value as a person, and the value of your experiences. And what I love about journaling is it's a great way to actually have a record of your growth and have a record of your life and your explorations, discoveries, successes, failures, everything. Journaling is just therapy to me and fun. Anyway, one of the things Julia recommends is morning pages, and I started really religiously keeping it. You handwrite 3 full pages every morning before you do anything. And it's stream of consciousness. So you can fill up books very quickly. And it's very personal and it's very raw. Sometimes it's very boring and quite difficult to do. But I took to it like a duck to water because I love to write, as you can see, and play with coloured pens. And often I was using just a simple exercise book, a real budget book. But sometimes, when I had the money, I would splurge on a lovely handmade book from an artist in Newtown in Sydney. And she always just made the most beautiful books, often with fancy papers as well. But again, it's just filled with morning pages. And I cannot tell you how many volumes of morning pages. I have kept them for a good, 1992, 30 years, until my hands got too sore to write, and then I had to go to the laptop, which is not the same, let me tell you. Anyway, so morning pages, a great introduction to stream of consciousness journaling, which is a wonderful way to figure out what you're thinking and feeling. I don't know about you, but if I just sit with things, I often get a bit overwhelmed. Whereas if I get a pen in my hand or a paintbrush and start to put it down on paper, it makes a lot more sense. It just clarifies things. And it's fun. This unassuming little book was actually a travel journal. 2018, I had a big trip. And so I kept a record, and I meant to sketch, and I think that's that one and the one of my friend. They were the only times I had time to sketch. But it's a lovely record of a trip. I cannot remember. I was quilting back in the day when I covered this book. Look at this gorgeous paper. So this is one of the first, my first sort of thinking about making journals. I have a vast collection of journals, purchased journals as well as made ones now. But initially I was just covering books I was using. And this was going to be just kind of a random sketchbook. My plan was to sit and do a sketch a night and a little bit of writing, so I kept the top for writing. It deteriorated quite quickly into playing with the marks pens made, and then designs for glass, and then recipes, and like it's just a mishmash of stuff. And this is pretty much the way I keep journals, even now. So I have kind of caught up to here. I discovered that quite a bit of this book is blank. So from here, I'm going to start sketching in this again, because I've been on a mission for a few years now to fill up all these half-done journals, because I like them when they're full. Okay, then another life-changing thing that happened was finding Linda Barry. Now, Americans are possibly more familiar with her than Australians. She's a cartoonist and a professor who taught this wonderful class. I'm so envious of the kids who got to do this, where she just helped them explore their minds, and via cartooning and simple exercise. I mean, watching videos and asking questions. This is an exercise, doing a cross and putting things in here. And it's lovely. I mean, it's like it's her exercise book, and it's filled with really interesting questions. Is creative concentration contagious? She called the class the Image Lab. And their homework was to fill these composition books with stuff and to draw and to write, and it just would have been so much fun for people like me. Anyway, some of the ideas I've taken from hers and have found really useful, and I think this would be a good way to introduce yourself to journaling. At the end of the day, draw as tight a spiral as you can, as slowly as you can, while you focus on the day that you've just experienced. Then create what she calls a quick grid format. So you list 7 things I did, 7 things I saw, something I heard, and then draw something. So this is from 2018. So read some of Linda Barry's syllabus and went straight into it. Planted out the parsley. I mean, it can be anything. Applied for some new markets. Saw a brush turkey in the fig tree. Unhappy people doing Christmas shopping. Heard the Boo Book. My dad said he had a letter from a friend saying his wife had gone into a nursing home. She's in a hostel for old age victims. And draw something. This was pictures of hailstones like flowers from yesterday's wild storm. Then, so it just becomes this lovely snapshot. And when I read back through this, again, it's changed a lot, but like if I read this or this little snapshot of those days after doing the spiraling, that day comes back to life, and it's the best way, much better than a photograph. The other thing she suggests doing, and she shows you how to do easy cartoon figures, is you actually do a 2-minute self-portrait, so no pressure. So here I am at my newly restored roll-top desk reading syllabus. It just reminds me of when I got that desk back, set it up, found this book. Now, I still do the quick grid, but it ends up a mishmash of lists, morning pages, quotes from writers, things I want to remember, designs for glass, all sorts of things. And here I started this format again last night because having found this book in a cleanup and remembered just how useful it was, I thought I'd do it again. So here's me sitting in my armchair last night writing this. And I had to laugh because it is almost 6 years to the day since this first entry. And it was the 21st of December back then, 18th of December now. Apparently I'm rather cyclical. Okay, so I guess what I'm trying to show and describe is that a journal doesn't have to be just one thing. I start these ones thinking I'm just going to do the grid format, but life comes in. And Linda Barry actually encourages that. And that was my first realization that I didn't have to do a themed journal, although sometimes I still do. So this one, you might recognize these dates as the years of lockdown. This was my COVID journal. And it's a very flimsy, almost like a copy paper. So all I did was I had some watercolor paints and I would just do a really quick wash with no thought, and then I would sketch into it. So here we've got, everyone is riding bikes, not so many cars around. And petrol is cheaper than it's been for years. I mean, that's a lovely memory of the beginning of lockdown. Cats are wondering why everyone is home all day. Dogs are happy. I didn't even have a cat or dog, but I kept reading about this in the paper. And then I kept it all through, and I actually, so here's a reminder to stretch. You know, I just drew into the paint in a very impromptu fashion. No real plan for anything. And I kept it all the way through. And I've got the last entry here. It's okay. There's always something to hold on to. And for me, this little book was how I held on to things, like my sanity, looking after two unwell people during lockdown. So I love that book. And look how nice and fat it is now. It's just got watercolor and pen. So sometimes a theme journal is a good idea, but more often than not for me, it's a mishmash. So then I discovered bullet journaling, and as an inveterate list maker, this really suits me, where you keep an index of your pages so they don't have to be in order because every page is numbered. And this is a bit like Dad's diary, really. So just a month to a page, that's the month there. And then, notes to self about what you want to do. And bullet journals, the official bullet journal, they have a particular system with with a key of how you do this, but I'm not very good at following other people's rules. I tend to have a to-do and a done and a migrated, and other than that, I just put notes in. You know, when I go back, I know what they relate to, but it's playing with all your coloured pencils and keeping a record. And all I did in the end to make it simpler to find, I put washi tape on the pages that had a month on them. So I could, a month on them, like March, so I could find that particular month quickly. So this, I think I'm up to my 4th bujo, and I do love this system. It's very handy. Then, of course, junk journaling came along. So I hope that I've shown you a few ideas of, a junk journal, any journal, doesn't have to be one thing. It can be one thing. You might want to do a nature journal. You might want to be even more specific and just draw your garden plants, or learn about the trees in your neighbourhood, or draw your cat every day. But you may want to, like me, do everything all at once in every journal in the house. Junk journaling is for us kids. I mean, this style just suits me so well. And as I've shown in my accordion book, it can be as simple as sticking together scraps of paper to form yourself a little expandable notebook that you can keep nice and neat in an envelope, in this case made from an old calendar. So if you're interested in making this, I'll try and learn how to link the video on how to, or just Google it. There's heaps of videos around. And then this is what it starts to look like once you work in it. And here, even though I didn't have a theme, this was really just working. So August 2024, started painting again. So I was just showing how you could use your junk journal. So that is on the accordion playlist. And again, a bit like the Linda Barry grid format, it just means you can go, like you've got this lovely here. I remember we went to the Archibald, the Powerful Owls came out. Q started making miniatures. My girlfriend gave me a whole bunch of old photos. I mean, there's not a lot of writing, but here we go. August, Kookaburra's been helping itself to the goldfish. Not Kookaburra, never mind. Ooh. Q made me these hand-cut stamps, bell jar stamps. Like, oh, the tick in Q's eye. See, I'd forgotten about that. I'm sure she hasn't. Oh, and she made those great labels. So I think when I started with junk journals, the best thing I did, and I highly recommend it, and it's about to kick off again. So the first year I didn't record it, but last year I recorded this junk journal January, working in this early journal, following Meg Journal's junk journal January prompts and hashtags, and participating and learning. Like, it just, it pushes you to create and fill. There's me with my guinea pig. Create and fill a journal and get in the habit of doing it. I mean, it's such a fun habit. You get to play with all of your treasures, make all sorts of things, learn how to use your die cut machine, learn how to do all these simple little things that we do with scrap paper. You can watch 1,000 videos, but it's not until you actually sit down and start to play with your own bits and pieces, and then use one of the gorgeous journals that you've made, that you really start to get it, and you start to go, oh, look, there's my dad. There's my dad on his way to the Arctic, wearing shorts. So keep a journal, play in your journal. It's a bit like, letting yourself play with all the good stuff. Use these beautiful vintage glassine bags. Use your sewing machine. Use all your die cuts. Use your pretty papers. It becomes, oh goodness, that's old. It becomes a storehouse of memories, but a storehouse of joy. I mean, it just makes me so happy looking through this, remembering the fun I had doing this. And I wasn't actually going to do it again this year, but honestly, looking at that, I'm thinking, you know what? Maybe I will. Oh, can't do that. Oh, okay. And then the last one, once you've, bitten the bullet, participated in something like this, learned to make that journal fat and full, and realized how much fun it is, and how it brings happiness into your life. It brings, for me, calmness into my day, like I'm just focusing on working in something. And it's like it's recording your life, It's a great thing to do. Get your inside passions and concerns and fears and fun out into tangible form. You don't ever have to show it to anybody. Some of it might stay very private. Some, for example, you got a private bit, make a pocket, tuck it in there. This one I started to keep after Dad died. And again, it's just become, books I've read. Look, I haven't filled it in since 2023. I think I just was grieving, really. But it's lovely, and it does have things in it, and it will have more things in it. Hide a poem under a flap. Keep some old drawings. This was from a holiday on the south coast just before Dad died. I had a few days off and I made this little pocket. See? And I went to the headland and I sketched. And why is that in there? I can't even tell what that is. Wearing my glasses. I hope that you've enjoyed this journey through some of my family and personal journals and learned that you don't have to worry about what do you do with it, what is it for. I had one customer who bought one of my very large, fancy fabric-covered journals, and when I saw her this year, she said she loves it so much, she keeps it as a coffee table book for people to look through. So, maybe that's what you want to do with it. Maybe you've made a beautiful journal that you're proud of and you're just too precious about it. Keep it on the coffee table. Let people look through it. Have it as a feature in your home because it will bring you happiness. If you're just starting out and you want to figure out your style, participate in Junk Journal January or something similar. Or get yourself Linda Barry's book. Or Julia Cameron's book, although that's more writing based. I would really recommend this one. I just think this is fantastic and really freeing. I mean, look how simple, how simple the cartooning is, but how personal and how memorable. When we're all in our dotage in years to come, we'll have these memories. They'll just mean so much more to us than photo albums full of people we probably can't remember. Okay, didn't think I was going to go there, but there you go. A nice note to end on. Storehouse for your lived life. The most important thing to do in your journal is enjoy it. See you next time. Bye.